You didn't make a mistake, you made yourself visible. There's a message in your inbox sent at 9:47 p.m. Not urgent, no deadline attached. Just a question, wrapped in friendly language. You answer it. Fast. Because that's what reliable people do. You add an exclamation point so you don't come across as cold. The next morning, nothing. No follow-up, no acknowledgement. But 3 days later, in a meeting you weren't fully prepared for, someone references that exact exchange, not to praise your availability, to frame a pattern. This has been a recurring issue. And you sit there, running the tape back, trying to locate the crime. There wasn't one. That's the point. You've been told that the workplace rewards effort, that visibility comes from results, that if you do good work, the work defends itself. That advice is not just wrong, it's the mechanism they use to keep you undefended, because in the corporate environment, performance is not the variable that determines survival. Narrative is go, and someone else has been authoring yours. Here is the rule they will never put in the onboarding manual. Your coworker is not competing with you for output. They're competing for the story no one told about you. In rooms you don't enter. It doesn't matter how much you produce. It doesn't matter how many hours you log. What matters is what can be documented, selectively extracted, and presented to the right person at the right moment, without your side of the context. They told you, we're a team here. The truth. The team is a scarcity structure wearing a collaboration costume. One promotion slot, one budget approval, one project lead position. Someone needs to appear less essential, and the most elegant way to make someone appear less essential is to let them disqualify themselves through their own words, their own reactions, their own unguarded moments. You were never in a family. You were in an observation system. And the colleagues who smile the widest are often the ones collecting the most data. What follows is not theory, it's operational intelligence. 5 mechanisms your coworkers use to engineer your exit, and the cold architectural defense for each one. The illusion. You believe that documenting your work demonstrates professionalism, that transparency builds trust, that if you record everything, you're protected. How they use it against you. They don't document everything either. They document selectively. That email where you asked a clarifying question, saved. That meeting where you pushed back on a timeline, noted. That one afternoon you logged out early because of a personal emergency, cataloged. Individually, these are nothing. Assembled over 6 months, they become a pattern of behavior, and you never saw it being built. The defense. Document with the same precision, but not to prove your value, to control the narrative architecture. When something can be misread, make your interpretation explicit in writing before anyone else can impose theirs. If you delivered late because of upstream dependencies, send the email that morning. Delivery delayed pending input from name, rescheduled to date. 2 sentences, sent before it becomes a talking point. You're not explaining yourself. You're filing the record first. The illusion. You assume that unclear instructions are just disorganization, that the manager is busy, that you should figure it out and show initiative, that asking too many questions makes you look uncertain. How they use it against you. Vagueness is not accidental. It's an attack surface built deliberately. They assign you an objective without a success criterion, no metric, no benchmark, no defined outcome. You work. You deliver what seems reasonable, and then, in the review, the goalpost has moved to somewhere it was never stated. This wasn't what we needed. You can't argue against a standard that was never defined. That's the design. The defense. Never accept a vague task as delivered. Close the loop in writing before you begin. To confirm my understanding, the expected output is X, success is measured by Y, and the deadline is Z's. Let me know if I need to adjust any of these. If they don't respond, you proceed on your stated terms, and that assumption is now on record. You've just removed the ambiguity they needed to prosecute you later. Vagueness is their weapon. Precision is yours. The illusion. The friendly colleague. The one who asks how you're doing. Who checks in after tough meetings. Who seems to understand the internal politics better than anyone. You confide in them, not about secrets, just reality. Your frustrations, your doubts about leadership, your career uncertainty. It feels like relief, how they use it against you. It gets repackaged, not maliciously, necessarily, but functionally. Your frustration becomes, they seem disengaged. Your question becomes, they're not sure they want to be here. Your doubt becomes, they lack confidence in the direction. Delivered to HR or management not as gossip, but as concern. And now you're a flight risk, or a cultural misfit, or someone who needs to be managed. You handed them the ammunition. They just loaded the weapon, the defense. Complete operational separation, not coldness, not hostility. Calibrated distance. Be professional, be pleasant. Engage with work topics freely. But the workplace is not a space for emotional disclosure. Your frustrations are processed elsewhere, with people who have no stake in the outcome. Inside the system, you are observable at all times. Operate accordingly. The illusion. Everyone makes mistakes. The team understands that. You made a minor error. You corrected it quickly. You moved on. This is normal. This is human. How they use it against you. Your mistake becomes a meeting agenda item. It gets referenced, discussed, elevated. Meanwhile, their equivalent errors dissolve quietly. No meeting. No discussion. The asymmetry isn't accidental. It's curation. Certain errors are made visible because visibility serves a purpose. Your error damages your credibility. Their errors never reach the audience. The defense. Do not react emotionally to your own mistakes. The emotional reaction is the second incident, often worse than the first. Correct. Document. Follow up. The error in X has been corrected. Here is what changed, and here is the confirmation. One message. Closed loop. And then, begin observing. Watch who amplifies mistakes, and who absorbs them, who calls the meeting, and who quietly fixes things without theater. This map tells you the actual power structure, not the org chart, the behavior under pressure. The illusion. You believe that when a decision is made about you, promotion, project lead, restructuring, it happens in the meeting where it's announced, that you'll have a chance to demonstrate your value at the right moment, that your work, when seen clearly, will be understood correctly. How they use it against you. By the time you walk into that meeting, the decision was made 3 weeks ago. In a hallway conversation you weren't part of. In a message thread you were never added to. In a casual lunch where someone shaped the narrative about your trajectory. You arrive to a verdict. Not a discussion. The performance review is paperwork. The real evaluation happened informally, and you were not present to defend yourself, because you didn't know you were on trial. The defense. Stop relying on spontaneous recognition. Visibility doesn't happen by accident in a political environment. It requires architecture. Objective progress reports sent to decision makers before decisions are made. Direct updates framed not as status emails, but as signal. Completed X, moving to Y, flagging Z as a dependency. Strategic presence in conversations that shape perception. You are not demonstrating effort. You are managing what is believed about you. That's not self-promotion. That's survival infrastructure. Here is what this all reduces to. The corporate environment is not chaotic. It is predictable. Once you understand that everyone inside it is operating from scarcity logic, your colleague doesn't need to destroy you directly. They only need to appear slightly more reliable, slightly more strategic, slightly more aligned with leadership than you. And the easiest way to achieve that contrast is to let you disqualify yourself. Through availability signaled at the wrong moments, through trust extended to the wrong people, through silence in the rooms where the narrative was being written. You were taught that hard work is the variable. It isn't. Perception is the variable. And perception is not what you project. It's what others construct about you in your absence. The ones who survive long enough to lead are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who made the fewest visible mistakes, while quietly ensuring that others' mistakes remained very visible. This is not cynicism. This is the operational reality of every hierarchy designed to self-select. You can continue playing by the rules you were handed at orientation, or you can understand the actual rules, the ones that were never written down, because the system functions best when you don't know it's running.